if you look at their past relationships and the baggage that they have is a positive thing or a net negative thing. I would say mostly it's a net negative. If you're a kind of person that can go into a relationship, you don't come out with any baggage, but you come out with just a more enlightened soul, you would have succeeded in the relationship. You didn't need it.
That's, I guess, what I'm asking. Like, is the type of love that you and I have something that a man wants? Because I think plenty of men, just kind of like women do the same sometimes, is that they find somebody that I do believe they do love, but it's not in the way that you and I love each other. They do have love for that person. They care about that person, but they've never experienced the level that you and I have. They don't even know that that's at like a lower level.
I think it can be successful, but again, it has to be so intentional. Like we're not saying to mess around and whatever, and you don't have to worry about things until you're in your 30s. So if you really want a modern traditional relationship, if you're jiving with what we're saying on this podcast, if it makes sense to you, if that's the kind of relationship and love that you actually do want, then as a man, this is the formula for doing it. It's going to take so much work.
I mean, I get that, and I'm not saying that it's impossible.
Right.
Like, I think with the guy who emailed us, I think he could, if he met the right person and he continued to try to learn the things that he's trying to learn, it would work out. However, I'm giving the female perspective.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be contrarian, but I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of if this happened to me when I was single.
Right.
And the thing is, it would be hard to trust him.
For sure.
It would be hard to fully trust him,
100%.
which is what a man needs, because he doesn't have the experience.
Right.
And if I have the experience and then I'm trying to teach him.
But remember, you're 10 years younger than him.
Yeah. And I've had how many like heartbreaks and all these things that he's never even experienced. And it is different even for men and women. And so like, what I'm just trying to say is that as a woman, knowing that he didn't have that experience I'm not saying that it would keep me from being in that relationship, like as a woman, but also until he proved that I could trust him without having that actual experience, it would be hard to trust him fully.
Here's the thing I would say about that, because I get what you're saying. But as you're saying this is what I'm thinking about, is I'm thinking about how many people that if you look at their past relationships and the baggage that they have is a positive thing or a net negative thing, right? So I would say mostly it's a net negative. If you're a kind of person that can go into a relationship and you don't come out with any baggage, but you come out with just a more enlightened soul, you would have succeeded in the relationship, or you would have you didn't need it. So it's like, what I'm saying is that most people, the more that they're in relationships and break those things off, the more damage that is done to them. It can be repaired.
I agree.
But so it would be better to not come in with that damage.
I agree. But the thing is that you're hard pressed to find a woman that doesn't have any damage. Like a man, sure, you can come across men that have never been in a relationship, but women are gonna have baggage. I mean, we have a 13-year-old that if you asked her, her crush now would be giving her baggage. Right, like, exactly. Yeah. So that is also the thing too, is like, sure, like that's great for him. Like, I wish everybody could go into their ideal relationship with no baggage. That's great. And like, I don't want him to suffer just to suffer either and get some baggage. But at the same time, like, I feel like there is a difference between learned experience or being in the moment than just reading about it and things like that. And I'm not saying you can't get very, very similar knowledge. You can't. You do need to learn experience. You're absolutely right. Yeah. But like, that is just where, like, sure, I get what you're saying. Like, I could think back to my first relationship and I didn't have any baggage, and that's a great feeling. I understand that. But the problem is, though, I mean, as long as he knows that probably every woman he dates is going to have baggage. And he knows how to handle that, even though he's never had his heart broken. He'd never really been in love. Also, the issue I have, too, with him never being in love is that if you asked 16-year-old me, I was in love. Right, exactly. No, that's... But if you, like, comparing that or all of the things until now, like, I'm not saying that wasn't love, but it was not. It was not the love that I feel like you need to get married. And so he has no baseline to go off of at all. Yeah. So But maybe men don't need that sort of love and women do.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is like you said, is that it is right. And I'm glad you're bringing up all these points because these are super important things that you're saying, is that a woman is going to come into a relationship with baggage. Mm-hmm. Even a young woman is going to, because even like you said, our daughter, her crushes are baggage to her, right? Yeah. It's like, it shouldn't be, but it is. Like it is. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So it's better that the man have as little of his own baggage because he needs to be dealing with, he's going to have to, because that is part of what it is to be a man, is to deal with the woman's emotional baggage. And a lot of guys today are, let's go to, passport bro. I don't want to deal with Western women's emotional baggage.
They got baggage. They're just not showing you the baggage.
But
it's different baggage.
But this is what you're supposed to do. You have to help a woman heal through these things. And that's, and if there were more good men and all men were listening to what we're saying, then she wouldn't have this baggage, right? That's so true. The baggage was caused by men. It wasn't caused by her being defective, right? And again, you're not responsible for those men. It's true, but you're responsible for yourself, and you're responsible for being a man that takes responsibility for a woman, right? And so I think that man having that less baggage is good. But to speak to what you're saying about
being in love,
about being in love, that's why like a man is going to need to have some experience, because here's the thing: is that men do quote fall in love, or they become obsessed with a woman. They get one-nightists over a girl that they have an infatuation with. It's not really love,
right?
And so, look, if you're a guy in your 20s and you're like, oh, I'm never even going to talk to a woman, or because John said, I'll wait till I'm 30. Look, you're going to be a total dork, like a total anxiety-ridden, like freak of nature. Like, I don't want you to be that either. I'm not saying that. Like, don't use it as an excuse to be a coward and not go and face your fears. You don't have to be a pickup artist, right? But you do need to, like, at least when you see a woman, go and talk to her. Like, you should
guy
be.
Said he has.
Yeah, and those are the skills you'll develop. And so that's going to prevent you from falling fake love. Because if you already are casually dating a few women, if you've built your confidence as a man, you could go to a nightclub or a bar and pick up a girl, because you shouldn't be the focus of your life in your 20s. But if you can do those things, that's going to save you from making the mistake of, like, the first woman that shows interest in you, then you're like, I love you, and I'm going to marry you, because that's also not a good plan.
Which I don't think they're going to go that, like, immaturity. But I'm also concerned because this guy has said that he's dated and picked up women casually. I mean, he said the longest was a month, and that's not very long. But like him mentioning that he's never been in love, and I guess maybe we don't have enough information from him. Like, I would be curious, because the thing is, like, that's, I guess, what I'm asking. Like, is the type of love that you and I have something that a man wants? Because I think plenty of men, just kind of like women do the same sometimes, is that they find somebody that I do believe they do love, but it's not in the way that you and I love each other. Like, they do have love for that person. They care about that person, but they've never experienced the level that you and I have. So, like, they don't even know that that's at, like, a lower level.
Right. But I'll tell you where it starts, because I've been piecing this together.
Okay.
It starts with the love of all women and the love of the feminine in the man. That's what actually starts that love that we have, right? I'm not going to say that it's not special, but what I'm saying is that what started that spark of that kind of love was that I was coming into it with that viewpoint.
And you didn't have, like, resentment towards women that you were holding against them.
And I saw the beauty in all women, but I saw a special beauty in you. You know what I mean? And
that riz me up on the podcast.
But that's you see what I'm saying? That's the key to having that. And so, like, so a man has to learn this and to be capable of understanding, of seeing the beauty in the feminine in every woman, to be able to see the uniqueness and beauty in each and every woman. And if he can't do that, if he's still harboring hatred and calling some women this or that, then he's not going to have it. But that's really what that true love is. And that's why, again, it takes time. A man has to learn some things. He has to develop himself to get to that point. And so, yeah, so I think it can be successful, but again, it has to be so intentional. Like we're not saying to mess around and whatever, and you don't have to worry about things until you're in your 30s. As we're saying, like, if you really want a modern traditional relationship, if you're jiving with what we're saying on this podcast, if it makes sense to you, if that's the kind of relationship and love that you actually do want, then as a man, this is the formula for doing it. It's going to take so much work. And I've told guys, I was talking to, I can just say it because I was talking to John, who was on the podcast, and when we were going on our hike, and I was like, dude, I can teach a guy how to pick up a girl in a night. I can teach him how to get laid. Like that skill set, I can teach him. Like maybe he won't be a master, but I can teach him enough. Like in one night, I can teach him that skill. It's not impressive, right? Like, but to be a man in a relationship with a woman, to truly be that, it could take a lifetime to learn that. So that's why that's the skill.
It's taken you, your lifetime to figure these things out.
And I still am learning, but that's the skill to develop, right? And that's why it's like, if you're intentional about this as a man, and you're thinking about, okay, I want to have this kind of life, I want to have this kind of wife, I want to have this kind of relationship, then it's in your 20s you're sacrificing, you're building for this, you're building for this woman that is going to be there later. It's like that sacrifice you're making in your 20s when you're not drinking alcohol, when you're working on your business, you're going to the gym, you're like, this is all stuff that you're building up for your future partner, wife. And so that's why you're doing it. And believe me, if you come into a date with a woman and it's the first woman that you're seriously entertaining dating in your 30s, and you're probably not getting into the first date, but if it's like, I've been building this for you, like, then you'll take it more seriously. It's not going to be a red flag. She's not going to be like, oh, this guy's never dated before. She's going to be like, oh my God. She's going to like message all her friends and be like, do you know what this guy said to me? Do you know what this guy is like doing?
That's true.